here I am in the live, which is very cool to be able to share with you my thoughts in the real time as it is. Not a recording, but here in this canvas of time we all share. I know what I wanted to discuss here today, tonight, is the subject of suffering. Suffering, yes. This is something which is being praised by, I guess, all religions of the world. Yes, it's cool to suffer. Really, they say that the prophet suffered, so if you suffer, it's awesome. It's almost great. It's like a merit. It's like something you should be proud of. But I believe that suffering isn't good. It's nothing to be proud of. Suffering means spending time in emotions which doesn't serve you, in states which make you feel miserable, which make you feel simply bad. Why feeling bad should be good to people? Even if the whole world tells you that it's cool to suffer, don't you feel that something inside of you knows better what's good for you and what's not good for you? Actually, that's one of the tools, one of the most popular tools of all times to make people rulable is to make them think that billions of people can go wrong, that if something has been repeated for too many times, then it must be truth. It must be truth. Because so many people cannot go wrong, but in reality they regularly go wrong. And actually this saying, this belief, I think it originates from Germany, of Adolf times. One of his closest friends, one of his closest allies, I think, said it, that lies repeated 100 times becomes truth. It's a rule. It's the reality we all live in. They keep pushing something to you, they keep pushing a thought which becomes truth in your head just because of the fact that it was repeated like crazy. The same thing happened to many songs which at the beginning you might haven't liked, but if you hear it again and again, your brain starts liking it. So that's the feature of human brain, to start liking something which it cannot avoid. So it sounds like human brain is almost like an animal. You just give it exercises. You just make it feel the way your strategy wants. If you have no strategy, most likely someone else will be playing with your brain, right? Because we live in space where every person can be considered as a resource for other people, for organizations. So no one is an island, yes? Everyone wants to take benefit of you. If you look like someone who is worth dealing with, of course. Because if it's obvious that you have nothing to offer and nothing to be taken, then people avoid you. It's an obvious thing. So I posted one of my most recent publications on Facebook about suffering. I put it short that shine bright. Do anything you could possibly think of this very moment to prevent suffering. Because suffering is not cool. Suffering does not suit you. You were not born to suffer. And you know that the thoughts rule human behavior, the thoughts in your head. If your software in your brain subconsciously praises suffering and thinks that it is cool and normal, let's all suffer. The prophet suffered, so it's our turn now. Let's prove that this life is worth living, because if you don't suffer, you didn't live a valuable life. Why is it dangerous? to do nothing with this belief. Just because everyone heard about the law of attraction. What you believe is normal, you attract more. So if the whole world believes that suffering is cool, they get more of suffering, and that's it. It's a vicious circle. But if you don't take the beliefs of billions of people, learned behavior of suffering, if you don't accept it as the truth and as something which has to be ruling your life, then you know the theory of probability. Most likely the probability of your suffering will significantly decrease just because you don't think that it's something cool. Such a little modification of approach might change the outcome. It's not something insignificant. There are no such things as insignificant details. Everything matters. You know, we all heard about it, that your beliefs rule your life, what you expect you get. So why do you expect not suffering if you think that suffering is fine? I think it's radically not fine. And I got one comment that suffering is part of life. It's like happiness, also part of life. So by saying it, you are reserving the space of your life for suffering. You are almost expecting it, right? Even more, I got in this comment the continuation. Life is meaningless without suffering. You can grow from suffering. Oh, this is something I cannot agree with. What do you mean life is meaningless without suffering? It means that it's so deeply rooted in the head of this person, so deeply rooted the belief that life has no meaning if you manage not to suffer. The conclusion is obvious. Of course, in the life of such person, suffering will be a best friend, will be a constant friend, neighbor, and witness. How can you avoid suffering if you believe that life is meaningless without it? You are almost welcoming it. You cannot live without it. Of course, the whole inner being tries to prevent events which we don't want. So it might sound as a strategy to deal with all possible sufferings in the way of inviting it and saying that it's fine. Life is meaningless without suffering. I think it's going too far because it's dangerous. It's playing with the law of attraction. You'll get more suffering if you think that your life is meaningless without it. And then you can grow from suffering. So it also proves such fact that we have certain level of freedom in terms of our beliefs. And it depends on us, what we believe is normal, and how we explain our past to ourselves. Because to prevent more unpleasant thoughts coming from analysis of your past life, when you understand, oh my God, I had so much suffering in my life, to prevent feeling wrong, bad, the brain might be tempted to think that, oh, those moments were actually cool. It was great to be tortured. I think that is just dangerous. Also, this person continues mentioning that all basic philosophy and religion are based on idea to grow from suffering. I agree, they do. But why should it be the reason to make it truth in your brain and in your life if it doesn't do any good, or it might not do the best possible good to people who decided to believe in it, or passively do what others do and passively copy other people's behavior? It demands courage to think independently. And it also demands courage not to suffer, because it all starts from thoughts. If you never thought about it, you automatically agree with attitude of, how they say, the average of 5 or 6 people whom you spend most time with, also shaping your beliefs. So if you don't think about these things, you automatically think like most people around you. But do you agree to live in the same states as they do? Because what I discovered, if you don't think about it, if you do nothing, you end up getting the same result. Living in the same destructive emotions and in suffering and thoughts about past. It's a certain work. And it roots from not being ready to be a victim, not to be ready to be a loser in your own eyes. When you feel that you want to be strong, you want to be able to respect yourself. How can you respect yourself if you didn't make yourself courageous enough to even dwell on your beliefs, which rule your life, which automatically attract certain events into your life? It's very convenient to think that, well, we live in a civilized world. Someone else already thought in advance about your comfort, about your good. Everything has been already decided. So you just don't need to think. Just follow the rules, and you'll be happy. And but what do we see in reality? It doesn't work that way. It's your individual responsibility to analyze your thoughts and think what you can do to avoid things which you would rather not have in your life. It's bold. It is bold. Because thinking is bold in our world. The world encourages you not to think. Just relax, consume, think about nothing. So, the comment continues. If you go through those situations in life, you know you become stronger after. I do not choose suffering, but I respect this part of life. I'm curious what to do if you're in the difficult situation for a long time, or you lost your loved one, or health, or no money, and you need to feed your children. Well, first of all, I never wanted to have children. You know why? Just because of the thoughts as well. Just because of being honest with myself from childhood. Just because I analyzed how it looked in families of people whom I know. It rarely pays off. Because children blame their parents, no matter how much parents did for them. Because human ego always wants more. So it's doubtful investment, you know, like every businessman thinks about their resources as investment. If you invest some attention, resources, energy, money into something, you don't want to lose, at least not, you are not going to lose what you invested, you want to get more out of it. And from what I see, the subject of children rarely ends up with no losses, not to mention profits. It was never interesting to me. It's doubtful pleasure. So, I lost your love or health. Yeah, everyone lost love. Everyone was ill. But if you are indulging it and in your thoughts equalize these states of suffering with normality, you are getting more of it. That's the point I want to discuss in this video. I wanted to share with you. So instead of going through it as fast as possible and replacing it with joy as much as possible, you start finding masochistic pleasure in suffering. And you go that far that you start believing that it's good and it's actually desired to suffer. It's a very thin line. So I don't agree to passively give my approval for suffering. I think it's not normal to suffer, even if all religions of the world think differently. And they might think different because of certain advantages they get from people who are eager to suffer, right? So, because my happiness is more important to me than the opinions of billions of people or organizations, I come to the most logical, in my opinion, conclusion, which is, in my opinion, the right thing to believe in and to live by. If suffering happens, I don't welcome it. I think that it's unfortunate, and I right away think how to literally forget it, not making it something continuous, normal, lasting, but no, replacing it right away, replacing it with happiness. Because there are already too many things in this far from perfect world, which I, frankly speaking, honestly just don't like, and I cannot change them. So to add to all of them approval for suffering, I think is just insane. And you know about the power of decisions. Power of decisions are very well described at Tony Robbins events, live events, where he repeats that the moment you make a decision, when you say I'm done, you change your life. So be very careful about your decisions, because it's your life, and if you passively just do what others do, don't expect different outcomes. Don't expect other emotions and states than most of people are getting from passively doing and expecting the same. It's up to your courage and up to your self-respect to make your own opinion and say it. Are you eager to suffer? Do you think it's normal to suffer? Are you going to suffer? Or do you believe it's not normal and it's highly unwanted state in your life, and you don't believe that you were born for suffering? Let me know in the comments under this video. I'm very curious to know your thoughts about it, and if you thought about it before, and what understandings you obtained from this topic. And until then, it was Airagis. See you soon. No suffering in my life.